Cancer, take a deep breath. Can you feel it? The air itself has changed. Something sacred is stirring, not outside of you, but within. This isn't luck. This is alignment. The energy of mid-October carries a quiet rhythm of destiny, the kind that only reveals itself to those who have been patient, faithful, and true to their path. For months, perhaps years, you've been planting seeds in silence, hoping, waiting, wondering if the universe has forgotten your name. But listen closely now. The ground beneath you is moving. The same stillness that once tested your faith is now beginning to reward it. You're not standing at the edge of uncertainty anymore. You're standing at the threshold of becoming. The universe is not sending you signs by accident. Every synchronicity, every dream, every sudden pull in your heart, it's all part of the same divine equation aligning you with peace, freedom, and abundance. The tide has turned, and it's moving in your favor. Can you sense it, Cancer? That subtle hum beneath your chest, that's your soul remembering who it is. You see, alignment isn't about chasing what's meant for you. It's about slowing down long enough for what's meant for you to finally catch up. You've been learning this through every delay, every heartbreak, every quiet surrender. The universe wasn't ignoring you. It was preparing you. And now, as the sky bends under the weight of October's light, the door begins to open. Not with thunder. Not with noise. But with grace. Mid-October arrives not as a storm, but as a whisper, a calling that says, step through. It's time. This is your season to stabilize, to rise, to receive. The softness you once doubted has become your strength. The tears you once hid have become your medicine. The patience you once carried like a burden has become your key. So breathe, Cancer. You are not waiting anymore. You are awakening. The universe has been watching, measuring your faith in the silence. And now, it moves in rhythm with your courage. Welcome to Buddhist teachings, where we explore the sacred alignment between astrology and consciousness. Before we dive deeper into today's revelation, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Your support gives us the energy to bring more wisdom to this growing circle of light. Now, let us begin. The sacred rhythm of Cancer. When the universe whispers now. There's a quiet kind of perfection in how the universe works, a rhythm so intricate that you can't rush it, only surrender to it. For Cancer, that lesson has always been personal. The delays that once felt cruel, the endings that seemed unfair, were never punishment. They were calibration. Every detour you took, every door that wouldn't open no matter how gently you knocked, those were the hands of destiny turning the dial just a little more, waiting for your vibration to match the life you were meant to live. The timing wasn't wrong. It was divine. You see, Cancer's gift isn't speed, it's sensitivity. While others chase the horizon, you stand still long enough to feel the shift in the wind, to hear what the tide is trying to say. You understand that a seed buried in the soil isn't lost. It's becoming. And maybe this whole time, the universe wasn't asking you to act faster. It was asking you to trust deeper. When you release the need to know what's next, you start to feel what's unfolding. The path reveals itself not to the anxious mind, but to the open heart. And when you finally step forward in that trust, you realize every not yet was preparing you for the right now. Somewhere along the way, the world convinced us that prosperity was about accumulation. Bigger houses, faster cars, busier lives. But Cancer, your soul knows better. You've tasted both abundance and emptiness, and you understand now that the real luxury is peace. True wealth isn't measured in possessions. It's measured in nervous system calm. It's the way your breath moves freely again after years of holding tension. It's waking up without dread. It's looking around at a simple room and feeling full, not for what's in it, but for who you've become within it. Money, in its truest form, is not a status symbol, it's a servant of purpose. It exists to amplify meaning, not replace it. And when you begin to use it that way, to build, to heal, to liberate, you align your energy with universal flow. You stop hustling against the tide and start moving with it. Cancer's persistence, your ability to nurture what others abandon, is not a weakness, it's the secret to manifestation. The universe has been watching you tend to seeds no one else believed in. It's seen your quiet discipline, your steady heart. And now, the harvest begins. But this isn't the old kind of abundance, loud, performative, or fragile. This is the kind that moves in silence, that breathes ease into your spine, that restores your faith in timing and trust. If you listen closely tonight, beneath the hum of routine and the noise of obligation, you'll hear it, that faint, sacred whisper, now. Now is not a command to rush. It's a permission to arrive. All that waiting, all that wondering, it wasn't wasted. You were being shaped by stillness, molded by grace, softened by surrender. The same tides that once pulled you apart are carrying you home. Cancer, this is your rebirth, not in fireworks, but in silence. Not in conquest, but in peace. Because when you finally stop fighting for what's already destined for you, the universe doesn't just meet you halfway, it moves mountains to meet you where you stand. And that's the quiet miracle of divine timing. The garden within. Cancer's mid-October transformation. Cancer, the world around you is still humming with the noise of motion. Deadlines, demands, the endless chase of proving and surviving. Yet somewhere beneath that rhythm, a softer pulse calls your name. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet invitation to slow down, to finally stop running from the noise and listen to what has been whispering all along. There was a time when you worked from fear, fear of losing, of not being enough, of watching everything you built slip through your hands. You gave, you carried, you endured. You survived. But survival, my dear Cancer, is not your destiny. It was your training ground. You were never meant to live in reaction to life. You were meant to move with it. To choose. To create. To work not out of fear, but out of faith. Something inside you is shifting now. The tides that once pulled you toward exhaustion are beginning to retreat. What remains is a new rhythm, deliberate, patient, intentional. The jobs, relationships, and obligations that no longer resonate are quietly falling away. It's not punishment, it's purification. The frequency of your life is tuning itself to match the peace you've been secretly craving. And yes, that means some things, and some people, will fade into silence. But in that silence, you will hear your own heartbeat again. You see, alignment doesn't shout, it rearranges. It doesn't ask you to fight harder. It asks you to soften, to trust the unfolding. When your energy no longer leaks toward what drains you, you finally have the strength to water what grows you. That is the quiet miracle of this season. You are no longer living to prove your worth, you are living because you already know it. Pause for a moment. Feel your breath. Notice how the air feels cleaner now, as if the universe has opened a window inside you. This is the moment between what was and what will be, the sacred pause before the next chapter begins. It is not emptiness, it is spaciousness. It is where new life gathers its courage to bloom. Now, the work shifts from doing to being, from holding on to letting be, from chasing outcomes to cultivating peace. You begin tending to the only garden that truly matters, the one within. Every thought is a seed, every act of kindness, a petal, every prayer, a drop of rain. You don't rush it. You simply show up for it, every day, in faith. And here's the paradox of all transformation. When you stop forcing growth, growth happens on its own. The moment you stop begging life to give you answers, life starts speaking in symbols. A song lyric that lands in your chest, a conversation that echoes your secret thoughts, a morning where the light feels softer than usual. Those are not coincidences. They are confirmations. The universe has noticed that you've cleared space. The old self, the one that worried, the one that apologized for being too emotional, too deep, too much, that version of you was never a flaw. It was a cocoon. Necessary. Protective. But now, you are no longer the one holding on for dear life. You are the one breathing new life into what's next. As you release the weight of guilt, worry, and self-doubt, notice how your body responds. The shoulders relax. The chest opens. The heart, once armored, begins to glow again. You realize that peace was never something you had to earn, it was the natural state that fear covered up. In this realization, stillness becomes sacred. Your home, your work, even your daily rituals become quiet altars of energy. You move slower, but with more power. You speak less, but your words carry light. You give less, but your giving now nourishes rather than depletes. Cancer, this is what rebirth looks like. Not fireworks or fanfare, but a deep exhale. A clearing. A remembering. You are no longer chasing miracles. You are becoming one. When you align your work, your choices, and your presence with peace instead of pressure, the universe doesn't need to test you anymore. It begins to trust you. And everything that belongs to you, stability, purpose, abundance, finds its way home. So, breathe again. The door to your next chapter isn't something you open. It's something that opens when you finally stand still. The garden within is ready to bloom, and this time, Cancer, you are not surviving the season. You are designing it. The quiet compass. When intuition becomes the way home. There comes a time in every Cancer's journey when logic can no longer carry you across the water. You can plan, analyze, and reason all you want, but the tide doesn't move because of your intellect, it moves because of your surrender. At some point, you realize that the mind is just an instrument, not the conductor. The true guidance, the one that whispers beneath thought, has always lived in your body. It hums through your chest when something feels right, tightens your stomach when something's off, warms your palms when you're aligned. It's quiet but precise, like the breath between waves. Cancer, this is your awakening. To stop asking why and start listening to what is. The numbers that keep repeating, the stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear, the song that plays just as you begin to doubt, all of it is the language of a universe that's not testing you, but tutoring you. These are the fingerprints of the divine, showing you that you're not walking blind, you're walking accompanied. Our ancestors understood this language instinctively. They followed stars, not maps. They felt the shift of wind and knew a season was changing before the first leaf fell. In the same way, your soul remembers this fluency. It's written in your DNA, in the rhythm of your pulse, in the ebb and flow of your emotions. So, when the world tells you to think harder, do the opposite. Breathe slower. Because the mind seeks certainty, but the spirit seeks truth. And truth rarely arrives with an explanation. It arrives with a vibration. The next time you sense that familiar pull, toward a person, a place, or a possibility, don't rush to decode it. Let it unfold. The current knows where it's leading you. Trust that what feels right is right, even if reason hasn't caught up yet. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving in. With faith that the unseen is more intelligent than your plans, there's a quiet revolution that happens when intention leaves the mind and enters the body. It's not in grand gestures or monumental plans, but in the simplest acts done with presence. When you light a candle in the morning and whisper gratitude into the flame, you're not performing a ritual, you're communicating with energy. When you write an email with sincerity instead of strategy, the vibration of honesty ripples through the digital ether, finding its way to hearts that need it. When you rearrange a corner of your home to bring in more light, you're not decorating, you're realigning your inner world. Cancer, your energy is magnetic because it's felt, not forced. Every small act infused with awareness becomes a thread in the tapestry of manifestation. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, it mirrors the frequency you embody. So, move slower. Let your gestures mean something. Pour your morning tea with reverence. Touch the fabric of your day as if it's alive, because it is. There is profound wisdom in gentleness. Every act of intention, no matter how subtle, carries the signature of your soul. And when your outer life starts echoing your inner clarity, you realize that you're no longer trying to create your reality. You're living it, breath by breath. This is the Cancer way, not through conquest, but through coherence. Not through control, but through communion. In a world obsessed with logic and acceleration, intuition feels like rebellion. But maybe that's what awakening really is, the courage to move at the speed of soul. You were never meant to chase alignment. You were meant to remember it. When you surrender the noise of overthinking, the next step always finds you. It's the quiet hand on your back, the gentle current beneath your feet, guiding you not toward some distant dream, but toward the peace that has always been waiting, right here, in this breath. And in that stillness, Cancer, you finally understand. The truest power is not in making things happen, but in allowing what's meant for you to unfold, gracefully, faithfully, in divine rhythm. Because when you stop forcing the river, you realize you are the river. The language of light. Cancer's return to worthiness. Cancer, if colors could speak, what would they say about you? If numbers could hum, what song would they be singing in your name right now? This season, the universe speaks to you not through words, but through symbols, through the quiet shimmer of gold on a morning cup, the pulse of green in the heart of a leaf, the sudden appearance of 1111 glowing on your clock. These are not coincidences. They are conversations. The universe doesn't shout its messages, it codes them, waiting for the ones who can feel rather than merely see. The color green, it has always belonged to you. The color of rebirth, growth, and forgiveness. It is the color of spring after long winters, of new leaves sprouting from wounded branches. Green tells you, it is safe to begin again. Every time you choose compassion over comparison, peace over pressure, you are speaking in green, the language of renewal. And then there is gold, the vibration of wholeness, of generosity, of divine balance. Gold doesn't demand attention, it emanates it. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you no longer need to chase light, because you are light. When you decorate your home with touches of gold, when you wear it near your skin, you remind your energy that abundance was never something you had to earn, it was something you were born with. The universe uses these colors the way an artist uses brushstrokes, to realign your soul's palette. Every time your eyes rest on green, it whispers growth. Every time you see gold, it calls you back to gratitude. The more consciously you honor these tones, the more synchronized you become with their frequency. That's not superstition, that's resonance. Energy responds to recognition. And then, the sacred numbers. The infinity loop of 8, the eternal exchange of giving and receiving. Life breathes in that rhythm. You inhale lessons, you exhale wisdom. You lose something, and something else takes its place. 8 reminds you that no energy is ever truly wasted, it simply transforms. That argument, that heartbreak, that delay, none of it broke you. It refined your orbit. And then there's 111, or its mirror, 1111, the numbers of creation itself. When they appear, it's not to predict luck, it's to confirm alignment. It's the universe knocking softly on your awareness, saying, now is the time to think clearly, speak kindly, and create intentionally. Every thought becomes a seed. Every intention, a signal. This is not magic. It's mindfulness woven into mathematics. Symbols, colors, numbers, they are the secret architecture of consciousness. And when you start to see them not as signs to chase but as frequencies to embody, your world begins to organize itself around harmony. But harmony has a cost, the cost of shedding perfection. Cancer, you have spent years trying to hold yourself together, holding your life, your family, your emotions in perfect symmetry. You called it responsibility. But underneath, it was fear, the fear of being seen as too much or not enough. Perfection was your armor. But perfection is not peace. It's exhaustion dressed as control. There is a moment, a holy moment, when you realize you are allowed to be both unfinished and divine. That your worth was never waiting for your performance to catch up. You were worthy when you were tired, when you were quiet, when you were uncertain. Because worthiness isn't an achievement. It's a birthright. So this is your new alignment. Not chasing the flawless, but embracing the real. Let your home be slightly messy, your voice tremble a little, your plans change mid-course. Let your heart be soft enough to feel and strong enough to heal. That softness, that's where your magnetism lives. Every scar, every moment you once hid in shame, has now turned magnetic. The universe doesn't bless the ones who hide their cracks, it blesses the ones who use them as windows for light to enter. That's why your pain still glows when you touch it. It's alive, transformed, transmitting. You are learning that beauty and worth aren't separate from imperfection. They are born from it. The cracks in your story are how your spirit breathes. So, when you see 1111 again, pause. When the sunlight hits something gold, breathe. When you feel your chest expand at the sight of green, remember, the universe is answering back. It is saying, you are enough, right now, exactly as you are. And as you exhale into this truth, notice the stillness that follows. That stillness isn't empty, it's sacred. It's the sound of your soul unclenching, returning to its natural rhythm. You're not chasing signs anymore. You are living as one. When the universe starts speaking your language, Cancer's season of alignment. There comes a moment, Cancer, when life stops feeling random. When coincidences stop being coincidences, and you begin to sense that something or someone has been gently arranging the pieces all along. You see familiar numbers, a song from decades ago plays at the exact moment your heart needs it. A message arrives from someone you quietly thought about the night before. You smile. It's not magic, it's alignment. It's the universe speaking your language, one vibration at a time. You've spent so many years building your life on effort, on trying, striving, fixing. But the new cycle you're entering is built on something softer, more intelligent than effort. It's called trust. Not blind faith, but the kind that comes from knowing that what is meant for you doesn't need to be chased, it needs to be allowed. That's the wisdom of alignment. Things flow not because you push them, but because you finally move at the same rhythm as life itself. The ancients understood this well. In Taoist philosophy, they called it Wu Wei, effortless action, or the art of flowing with the current instead of fighting the tide. The river doesn't force its way to the sea, it follows its own nature. And when it meets an obstacle, it doesn't resist, it reshapes itself. You, too, are learning this now. The universe isn't asking you to do more, it's asking you to remember the way you move when you're in harmony with your truth. That's why lately, the right people seem to appear out of nowhere. The right opportunities knock quietly, not loudly. Even your dreams are becoming more vivid, not the kind you forget in the morning, but the kind that leaves a trace of meaning long after you wake. These are confirmations, not curiosities. The universe doesn't send you random signals. It mirrors your readiness. What's changing now is not just what you attract, but what you allow. You no longer crave validation, you crave resonance. You no longer chase safety, you cultivate peace. You no longer ask, will it last? But rather, does it feel aligned? And that single shift changes everything. Because when you live by alignment, your energy becomes magnetic. Life begins to respond to your frequency instead of your fear. But here's the quiet secret. Expansion doesn't look like chaos or speed. It looks like stillness that finally moves. When you stop forcing outcomes, your world expands in directions you couldn't have designed if you tried. Doors open where there used to be walls. Paths appear where there used to be fog. This isn't luck. This is coherence, the soul's geometry arranging itself into form. Cancer, you are entering a chapter where trust will be your greatest tool. Not the naive trust that everything will be easy, but the mature trust that everything will be meaningful. You're moving from scarcity to sufficiency, from control to communion. And that shift, that internal expansion, is the beginning of real abundance. Remember this, the universe never works against you. It works through you. It aligns when you align. When your heart, your choices, and your energy speak the same truth, the universe listens, and it answers in synchronicities, in timing, in grace. You begin to realize that every delay had design, every loss had purpose, every waiting room was a classroom. So the next time something feels too perfect to be random, don't question it. Receive it. That's the confirmation you've been asking for. That's alignment. Let this new rhythm carry you forward, not like a wave that demands effort, but like a tide that recognizes you. You are no longer navigating by fear or scarcity, you are expanding through trust. Every dream, every heartbeat, every gentle sign is saying the same thing, you are exactly where you're meant to be. And when you can finally believe that, truly, deeply believe that, you'll discover that alignment isn't something the universe gives you. It's something you become. Cancer, take one last slow breath. Feel how the same air that once carried change now lives inside you. What began as a whisper from the universe has become a voice within your own chest. The signs you once searched for in the sky now rise quietly from your own heartbeat. You are no longer waiting for the tide to turn, you are the tide itself. Everything you've walked through, the pauses, the heartbreaks, the quiet acts of faith, was never random. Each one was a step toward remembering what has always been yours. Peace, clarity, and the gentle power of trust. The universe didn't change its rhythm for you. You learned to move with it. That is the moment alignment becomes real. When destiny stops being something you chase and starts being something you breathe. Now the transformation deepens. Cancer, you are not simply being guided anymore. You've become the guide, the light that others can navigate by. The tenderness that once made you feel fragile is now the source of your strength. The same heart that once carried everyone else has learned to carry itself, with grace, with quiet authority. And as the story softens into stillness, something sacred happens. The outer world fades, and all that remains is the calm pulse of your soul, steady, luminous, whole. You understand now that peace was never meant to be found, it was meant to be remembered. This is your arrival, not at an ending, but at a homecoming within yourself. So, as this moment closes, let it not be a farewell but a beginning. Keep your heart open. Trust what you feel. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles, because the world needs the softness you once doubted in yourself. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should, slowly, beautifully, in divine rhythm. And when you step forward from here, remember this truth that anchors everything you've become. You are not waiting for the light. You are the light the universe has been waiting for.